a black man walks into a bank, dressed simply, looking no different than anyone else. But instead of respect, the teller greets him with suspicion, treating him like he doesn't belong. She assumes he's broke, maybe even a scammer. What happens next not only shocks her, but leaves the entire bank in silence once his true identity is revealed. Have you ever been judged unfairly just because of how you looked or what someone assumed about you? Share your story in the comments because your voice matters. A cinematic red, subscribe button glowing against a dark backdrop with a ringing golden bell icon beside it. Futuristic, 3D effect, eye-catching for YouTube visuals. It was a bright Monday morning when Marcus Williams walked into the downtown branch of a popular bank. Dressed in a simple gray hoodie, jeans, and sneakers, he didn't look like the kind of customer most would expect to carry a fortune. As he approached the counter, the teller, a young woman named Sarah, barely looked up. Her smile was polite, but her eyes carried an edge of suspicion. "Can I help you?" she asked, her tone sharp, as though she were preparing for trouble. Marcus greeted her kindly. "Yes, I'd like to discuss opening a new account for a large deposit." Sarah almost laughed. She scanned him from head to toe, taking in his casual outfit. Large deposit? She thought. To her, he looked like someone struggling to make ends meet, not someone with serious money. "Sir, perhaps you'd like to use one of our basic savings accounts," she offered, stressing the word basic. Marcus raised an eyebrow. He didn't argue, didn't correct her. Instead, he calmly repeated, "I'd like to speak to the branch manager, please." Her patience wore thin. She leaned closer and said quietly, "The manager is busy. Why don't you tell me the amount first, so we don't waste anyone's time?" Marcus gave her a steady look. His eyes carried a quiet power, the kind people often missed at first glance. He simply replied, "It's important. I'll wait." But Sarah wasn't having it. She sighed dramatically, tapping her pen on the counter, shaking her head at what she assumed was another case of someone pretending to be rich. Behind Marcus, a few other customers had started watching. The bank was about to witness a lesson no one would forget. Sarah crossed her arms, her tone growing sharper. "Sir, I'm asking you nicely. If this is about a paycheck, we can direct you to the quick deposit machine outside." Marcus tilted his head slightly, his calm presence unshaken. "No," he replied firmly. "This is not about a paycheck. I'd like to speak to the branch manager." But Sarah wasn't done making assumptions. She lowered her voice, so only Marcus could hear. "Listen, we get people all the time who say they're going to deposit millions. Then they show up with $100. Let's not play games." Her words stung, not because Marcus cared about her opinion, but because it was a scene he had witnessed too many times before. Being judged not by his actions, but by the color of his skin and the clothes on his back. Behind him, an older gentleman shifted uncomfortably. Another customer whispered, "Why is she talking to him like that?" The atmosphere in the bank grew heavy, tension building with every passing second. Marcus finally sighed and took out his phone. With one smooth motion, he dialed a number and spoke into the receiver. "Yes, I'm at the branch now. Could you let the regional director know I'm waiting?" Sarah's face froze. Regional director? Who on earth was this man? She forced a chuckle. "Oh, so you know the director?" she asked sarcastically. Marcus didn't even glance at her. He simply slipped the phone back into his pocket, standing tall, his patience still intact. Moments later, the glass doors of the bank swung open, and in walked a sharply dressed man in a tailored suit, the actual branch manager. His eyes immediately lit up when he saw Marcus. "Mr. Williams," the manager exclaimed, rushing over with an outstretched hand. "What an honor to have you here today." The entire lobby went silent. Sarah's jaw dropped. Customers stared, waiting to see what would happen next. And Marcus? He finally smiled, because the truth was about to be revealed. The branch manager practically jogged toward Marcus, his hand extended warmly. "Mr. Williams," he said again, smiling from ear to ear, "we didn't expect you in person today. If we had known, we would have rolled out the red carpet." Marcus shook his hand firmly, his calm demeanor never wavering. "I like to keep things simple," he said quietly. Sarah's face turned pale. She blinked in shock, her lips parting but no words escaping. "Mr. Williams?" The way the manager said it carried weight, reverence even. Suddenly, the pieces began falling into place. The manager turned toward her. "Sarah, do you realize who this is?" Sarah stammered. I don't." "This," the manager announced loudly enough for the whole lobby to hear, "is Marcus Williams, CEO of Williams Global Enterprises, one of the largest investment firms in the country." Gasps rippled through the room. Customers who had been silently watching now whispered in awe. "He's the CEO," someone muttered. "Here? In this bank?" Marcus gently placed a folder on the counter. "I came to open a new account. A corporate account that will hold over $20 million. The room went dead silent again. Sarah's eyes widened, her earlier arrogance crumbling instantly. She remembered every word she had said, every stereotype, every condescending remark, and now they echoed in her mind like thunder. The manager cleared his throat. "Mr. Williams, please step into my office. We'll get everything arranged immediately." But Marcus held up a hand. "No," he said firmly. "I'll finish my transaction right here, at this counter." His gaze locked with Sarah's, not with anger, but with a calm authority that pierced straight through her. "Respect isn't about appearances," he said evenly. "It's about how you treat people, whether you think they're rich or poor." Sarah's cheeks flushed bright red. She wished she could disappear. The customers, meanwhile, were glued to the moment, watching justice unfold right before their eyes. Sarah's hands trembled as she tried to gather herself. Only minutes ago, she had treated Marcus like an inconvenience, someone she believed didn't belong in a place like this. Now, that same man stood revealed as one of the most powerful individuals to ever walk through her branch doors. She forced a nervous smile. "Mr. Williams, I'm so sorry for the misunderstanding. I didn't realize." Her voice cracked as she spoke. Marcus's calm expression never faltered. He simply raised an eyebrow. "Didn't realize what exactly?" Sarah swallowed hard. I didn't realize who you were." "That's the problem," Marcus said gently but firmly. His tone carried more weight than anger ever could. "Respect shouldn't depend on who someone is. It should be given because they're a person." The customers murmured in agreement. An older woman in the lobby even nodded and whispered, "That's right." Sarah's cheeks burned. She looked down at her desk, her earlier confidence shattered. For the first time in years, she felt the sting of shame, not because she had been caught, but because she saw herself clearly. The manager cleared his throat, trying to ease the tension. "Mr. Williams, please allow me to handle this personally." But Marcus shook his head. "No, I want her to finish what she started. I want her to see this through." Sarah's heart pounded. Every keystroke, every paper she slid across the desk felt heavier than usual. She could barely look Marcus in the eye, yet he stood there patiently, never once raising his voice. Finally, she whispered, "I judged you unfairly. I assumed things that weren't true." Marcus nodded slowly. "That's the first step, acknowledging it. What matters is what you do next." The silence in the room was profound. Customers who had gathered leaned closer, sensing that this moment was about more than banking. It was about dignity, respect, and the power of second chances. For Sarah, every second felt like a mirror being held up, forcing her to confront her own biases. And for Marcus, it was an opportunity to teach, not to humiliate. The tension in the bank slowly gave way to silence, as if the entire room was holding its breath. Sarah finished entering the last details, her hands shaking slightly as she slid the paperwork across the counter. Marcus signed calmly, his steady presence making the moment feel even heavier. When the transaction was complete, Sarah finally gathered the courage to look him in the eye. "Mr. Williams," she said softly, "I want to thank you for your patience. And I want to apologize. I let my assumptions guide me. I was wrong." Marcus studied her for a moment. Then, with a faint smile, he replied, "We all make mistakes. What defines us is how we grow from them." Sarah blinked rapidly, holding back tears. The words pierced her deeper than anger ever could. The manager stepped forward. "Mr. Williams, thank you for showing us all an important lesson today. Not just about banking, but about respect." Marcus nodded. "We live in a world where too often people are judged by what they wear, how they look, or where they come from. But every single person deserves dignity, whether they walk in with $1 million or just one." The customers who had been silent witnesses broke into quiet applause. Even the security guard near the door clapped slowly, his face filled with admiration. Sarah lowered her head, humbled but also transformed by the experience. For the first time, she realized how powerful simple kindness could be, and how damaging prejudice truly was. Marcus picked up his folder and turned to leave, but not before giving Sarah one last piece of advice. "Next time," he said gently, "see the person first. Everything else comes after." As the doors closed behind him, the bank lobby remained in deep reflection. Sarah exhaled shakily, her worldview forever changed. And the lesson? Respect isn't a privilege to be earned. It's a right that should never be denied.